Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. This is Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. You may have noticed that I have not been on the YouTube platform. I have pivoted instead to emailing directly to my email list the planetary energy forecast for each week. I am posting this today on YouTube just because I feel like it is such a vital important time to be aware of what is going on with the planetary energies over this week and next. It's a particularly volatile time. And so I just thought I would put that out there for everyone. But if you wish to receive these forecasts in the future, please go to nuitastrology.com and sign up for my newsletter. It is absolutely free. I just am preferring to interact directly and not be so much on social media. So stay tuned for the forecast. Namaste. Hello and namaste, my dearest darlings. This is Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of January the 19th, 2026. All right, we have a lot to talk about here, and as you see, I have the calendar set actually to Sunday, the day that this episode will drop. Because it's important to kind of recall this very vital new moon that is occurring on Sunday. Now, this new moon has powerful positive connections to the planet Uranus, so magical things could happen. It's supported by the structural foundation energy of Saturn. It's vibing beautifully with the inspiration of Neptune. It also has the power of the mind and the will moving together and also harmonizing with these other planets. So, in many respects, we would look at this and think, wow, wonderful, exciting. But astrological asterisk, as you can see, co-present with this energy, we have Venus approaching the meeting with Pluto. And so not only is Venus going to meet Pluto this week, but we have Pluto encountering Mercury, the mind, Pluto encountering the sun itself. And then we're building up through the weekend and into the following week when on the 27th, Mars will meet with Pluto. Now, as you know, Pluto is a regenerative force, and often the way it regenerates something is to break it down, to dissolve it. Think of the imagery and symbolism of the phoenix burning down something in order for it to be renewed. And so this brings in an element of volatility. Now we're still just finishing up all of those Capricorn planets. They were arguing with Jupiter. They were arguing with Chiron. That has started to dissipate. We've gotten a little bit more clarity on our direction and purpose with this. But one by one, as these elements meet Pluto, they are going to go through their own death rebirth cycle. Now, Venus, Pluto, when it meets, I mean, we're going to be looking at Venus ruled topics, money, love, finance, aesthetics, and it's very much a concentrated energy. It can also bring up a bit of dark sexual energy. So we want to make sure that we're moving any energy that we have that doesn't feel like it has a healthy outlet. We want to be moving that in appropriate ways. So vigorous exercise, really being conscious of your surroundings and things of that nature, I think are really essential at this time. Now, we'll also be having this just powerful connection between the Sun and Neptune. We need to make sure that we are seeing things clearly. Neptune is such a strong force that it could dissolve some boundaries here. And based on what we're vibrating, we could end up in really difficult situations with tricky people. So I want you to be careful, cautious. As I mentioned, even though the new moon I find to be pretty sparkly on Sunday the 18th, I immediately also put the astrological white flag of caution up. All right. So we also have occurring on January the 19th, Monday, the shift of the sun into the sign of Aquarius. Now it's late in the day, East Coast time, but that again will bring us a distinct energetic shift as it moves into the sign of Aquarius. So happy solar return to all my aqua friends. Now, the exact meeting of Venus and Pluto occurs technically on the 19th, but you'll feel it the 19th and the 20th. And so, as I mentioned before, this is the goddess deeply going into the underworld. She will come out transformed. She will come out wiser, smarter, more savvy, a little bit more aware of how to protect herself. But immediately we have that resonance with the sun. Okay. We also have beautiful connection right at this time between Mars with Saturn and with Uranus. So we we had all those planets in Capricorn, right? But now we're really trying to set our intentions regarding taking action on them. Mars in Capricorn is a striver, is a hard worker, is a really success-oriented individual. And now that energy is deeply supported by the foundation of Saturn, the inspiration of Neptune, and the anything could happen of Uranus. At the same time, we are watching this configuration between Pluto and Venus. Then on the 21st, we have what we call the cazimi between Mercury and the Sun. Now, even earlier in the week, you might kind of feel that kind of energy of the Sun kind of, kind of being too strong for Mercury to function well. So there can feel like a little bit of Mercury retrograde, a little bit of confusion, a little uncertainty, a little bit of, oh, the email didn't go through. Oh, there's going to be some frustrations. So we have to especially watch because of the Pluto Venus, Pluto Mercury, Pluto Sun that we're going to be managing, that we don't get super frustrated. And we look to the 21st for that exact meeting of Mercury and the Sun. On the East Coast time, it's around 11 a.m. We're going to have what we call the cazimi, when the Sun swallows Mercury and empowers Mercury. They have the true meeting of the two energies, and we become aware of something that maybe we were not before. Because of the speed of Mercury, though, Mercury zips past the Sun and immediately encounters Pluto on the 22nd. So, Mercury encountering Pluto. I jotted down some keywords from Robert Hand, one of my favorite authors. Planets and transits. We must be aware of trying to be convinced or coerced. We must be aware of egotistical motivations. Be aware victimization, obsession, or fanatical ideals. And especially with the way the energies are flowing right now in the world, we'll be able to see the amplification of those sorts of manifestations. We need to make sure that we are not falling for them. We are not propagating them. You will see that power to manipulate or coerce through the mind, through the thoughts, or through technology and large groups of people will have an enormous effect. And so, again, we're going to be very careful, cautious this week. Now, Mars moves on the 22nd, 23rd, into a gorgeous connection with Neptune. So Mars and Neptune, it itself can have a bit of a fanatical edge. Remember, Mars wants to scrap about it. Mars wants to fight. Mars wants to argue. And so this configuration of Mars can feel very high-minded, can feel like they are justified in doing the things that they do. And so, of course, that is a tricky energy that needs to be managed, and you need to be aware of your circumstances and your surroundings. Let's see what else. Yeah, and then on the 23rd, we also have Pluto meeting the Sun, Mars moving into Aquarius, and now we had this huge group that was all in Capricorn earlier in the month. Now that whole grouping of planets is in Aquarius, in the Aquarius sector of your chart. So where is that? Aquarian energy is quite distinct compared to Capricorn. Aquarian energy is air. It's about ideas and thoughts and the collective, and it is the energy of revolutions. So I think we'll see perhaps some of the the things that are currently in play as we speak, as I'm recording this, and I'm recording this on the, oh heck, what is today? Today's the 12th. Um, we can already see the seeds of revolution being planted in many, many places across the globe. And I think over this next 2 weeks, we will see more explosive energy regarding those types of revolutions. This is the energy of the future. Aquarius is the future. And with Pluto in that sign, we are truly giving birth to the future. Now, as the moon is moving through Pisces and Aries, it is going to contribute to these aspects during this time. So a big influx of emotions and then the desire to act. So please take a breath, be calm, be wise, be mature. It's essential, especially as other people are not being. Now, the caution flag went up 18th, 19th. Now we put up the emergency alert on Saturday, the 24th. It might be a little early for the emergency alert for the day of the 27th being the meeting of Pluto and Mars, but I'm still putting the caution flag up because they're both in the same sign, even though they aren't within that 3-degree range quite yet. They will get there very rapidly. And Mars and Pluto is violence. Mars and Pluto is explosions, cutting, accidents. Mars and Pluto is compulsive. It is ruthless. It is a dominating energy. And that desire to dominate groups of people will be functioning very strongly from the 24th, I would say probably through the 29th at the very least. So we're observing. How was Venus transformed? How was the mind transformed? How was the sun transformed from that contact with Pluto? Well, now Venus and Mercury around the 24th begin to walk hand in hand. And they're strolling together. And they're talking about the new ideas. They're conversing. They're saying, okay, this is what I love and value. This is how I think about it. This is what I'm going to do. So this is more, it's almost like they've come through their interaction with Pluto and they're a little battle hardened. And they are both desiring to work together to create the future, to dream the new dream. Okay. Now, quick comment on the 24th. There is a moon void in the afternoon, 4:36 p.m. Eastern until the 25th at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. So when you wake up in the morning of Sunday the 25th, the moon will be void until 1:05 Eastern. 1:05 p.m. Eastern. Actually, I would pay attention to that even if something pops off with this energy. Look at the moon void because sometimes that doesn't mean anything will come of it. Those of you who have listened to me before, I remember you may go way back in the Ukrainian war when the Wagner group turned around and went against the president of Russia and marched on Moscow. And I still remember talking about it with my husband, and he went, wait, isn't today a big long moon void? And it was. And as you see, nothing came of that. So we'll keep an eye on the energy of this time period and understand that if something kicks off, it does have the ability to kind of have a natural dampener, so to speak, or something that would tamp it down or calm it down, so to speak. And then what else is on? And then the moon moves into Taurus, and the moon in Taurus is going to argue with all of those Aquarian planets. And so the practical love, money, beauty, sensuality, nice things, the peacefulness of Ferdinand the Bull is definitely going to be feeling very pressured. So particularly for those of us who have Taran placements, be gentle with yourself at this time. All right, what else do I have in my notes? Also, if you noticed, if you're watching the video, this beautiful little grand trine that we started the week with, that minor grand trine, and I'll back it up so you can see it. Do you see this little blue triangle? this minor grand trine is waning. This means those outer planets are getting out of their contact range. Really, it's mostly Pluto kind of stepping out. Pluto's busy tangling with all these other quicker moving energies and not so much in power over the Saturn, the Neptune, and the Uranus. That said, there is still a lovely resonance between Saturn and Neptune and Uranus. And we are getting very ready for next week, whereupon we will have Neptune on Monday, the 26th, move into the sign of Aries and commit to that sign for the next 14 years. So you may feel that a little bit on Sunday. You may still feel that resonance, but we need to kind of parse apart from all the kind of chaotic energy that that the Aquarian sector of our chart is bringing, with the understanding that Neptune is moving from water to fire, from the end of the lessons to the more uncertainty, to the assertion and will, drive, and heat, frankly, of the sign of Aries. So, super dynamic week. As I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and click forward here. As you can see, Tuesday is when we have our Mars-Pluto exact. Good news is that these other symbols have moved away. They look like they're close, but they aren't really mathematically. But we do have the Mercury and Venus walking together. Head and heart will be holding hands, and they might be able to make some really hard decisions because they're both in that detached sign of Aquarius, the scientific approach to life. And so they may come to a real agreement of what needs to take place next in response to this explosive meeting of Pluto and Mars. All right, my beautiful friends, I am wrapping you all in light. Please comment below if you have any questions, or if you don't want to set up a Loom account in order to comment. I'm happy to receive emails. Feel free to do that. I appreciate your trust in me. If this is helpful at all, share it with a friend. I do want people to be really wise. This really is a bit of a tinderbox with the Mars Pluto. Let that energy be burned off in other ways. Try not to get caught in the crossfire of some of these difficult aspects. All right. Wishing you peace, harmony, love, joy, blessings, and may we all learn these lessons quickly so that when we can move forward to a more abundant, peaceful, bright, loving, harmonious future together. Okay. Namaste, my beautiful friends. Ciao.